Yo, what's good, fellas? We're back with another one. And, today we're going to be hitting a little bit of chest and biceps. And if you haven't been around, we're back to Synergy, the homestead, I feel like, of my gym journey, I guess. I don't even know what you really want to say. Either way, we've been going at it for too long, I feel like. But, Synergy has been where I've just kept my membership the longest time. But either way, fellas, we back. And, better than ever, honestly. Ever since I've been going here for a few weeks now, I've been feeling like the shit again. For a while, I was kind of just feeling like I was getting mid-workouts, being, all over the place. But now that I'm finally settled back in, I'm feeling that fire again. I'm not going to lie. When I'm not feeling good and not looking the best, and that also comes into effect with, the camera, too. I also don't want to be putting, I always want to be putting my best in front of everyone. You know what I mean? Especially you guys. You guys have been here for many years. You know what I mean? So if I can't give you guys my best, sometimes I don't feel like I got it in me, you know what I mean? But no matter what, I always come through. You already know that. But either way, fellas, I'm gonna get changed. I was shoveling some snow and stuff, as you can see. But hey, either way, fellas, I'm gonna go get ready. I'll catch you guys on the flip. Let's get this lift.
All right, fellas, so we got coming in here, a nice little curl, 3 sets, 10 each arm, right here. I unfortunately could not get on the bench press, so I had to compromise and start my workout off with the curls. That's how this started. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to touch no chest right out the back. I like to save that all for the bench press. But for a nice little warm up, this ain't no warm up weight. This is repping weight. But for a nice little warm up before the bench, I'll say some curls were definitely nice to put in there. You know what I mean? I did actually feel a little bit more looser on the bench, so I should start warming up a little bit on the bench. But realistically, something like 185 like this is a good warm-up for me. And that's the thing too, I'm gonna start scaling it back a little bit instead of just trying to push the 225 around all the time and push heavier weight. I'm gonna keep this 185, try and push 225 and bully that around as much as possible, but then once again kick it back to the 185 and then just keep start off at 185 for a warm-up, do a few sets 225, whether it's 2 to 3 depending on the day. Obviously today I did 185. I did I did I did 2 of each, 2 225s and then 2 185s. I just have to think about that and make sure. But that's how I did today. But who's to say one day I don't throw 225 around for a third set? Right now, for me, I just really want to focus on a lot of the forms and the muscles. And also with that being said, I've also, with that, I've got away from powerlifting. You know what I mean? I'm more focused on the bodybuilding, like I've always said I wanted to be. I know, for a while it's kind of weird. When I was trying to be, more of the bodybuilder, I was, looking more towards the powerlifting. And then when I was powerlifting, I'm looking at my image and wanting to be a bodybuilder. But now, for the first time in a while, I feel very complacent with just doing one thing. I don't feel like I got to be doing everything under the sun, So with that being said, I don't mind kicking it back a little bit, lessening the weight up, because to me the strength really doesn't mean nothing if it doesn't look good. So 185 for two goes at it, and then 225 for 2 goes. I'm happy with that. You want to know what though? I do want that third set for the 225, but you want to know what? I'm not in no rush, because personally I just want to keep building this muscle like I've been, and I've been feeling a lot better since I've really kicked it back and started focusing on that more. Joints, muscles, everything has just been feeling a lot better, because I'm not always just trying to maximize myself out and not trying push literally before I was pushing every workout to the full. It's there literally had to be nothing left in the tank. You know what I mean? And that's not necessarily always the best to be training like that on a consistent basis. Obviously right here, sorry I said it late, but I did the 3 sets, 10 reps with the flies for the 10-second hold at the end. Then here I roll into the 3 sets with 10 reps with the bicep pull downs. And that's another thing too. Like even though I was just talking about scaling the bench press back, but as far as like my regular lifts go though, like these right here, I've been staying solid. Like the weight has maintained and has slightly gone up in other categories. I'm not gonna lie, this bulk definitely was not like the last bulk where we were putting on copious amounts of mass, just to have to cut it off. This time, also this one upper chest press, 3 sets, 10 reps. But with that being said, I also, I'm getting a little bit more, in tune with my craft. You know what I mean? That's for sure. Lower chest press here, 3 sets, 10 reps. But now that I'm not over. Before I just wanted to do everything the hardest I could. So whether it was bulking, I was bulking as hard as I could. Whether I was cutting as hard as I could. If I didn't need to eat any calories, I wouldn't have. All I cared about was my protein goal. Other than that, once I hit my protein goal, the calories didn't matter as long as I was in a deficit. Which a lot of the times I'd be in like a almost 1,500 calorie deficit. A lot of the times, which is crazy. But hey, either way, that's exactly what I did. I was only eating maybe 13 to 1,200 calories a day, maybe. But hey, either way, looking good, looking great. Hope I didn't rant too much during the workout. Sorry, and you guys could follow along. But a little side talk. I haven't really, like I said, I'm getting ready to form my goal, and I think I'm starting to feel a lot more confident on, leaning more towards the bodybuilding stuff and just staying with it and getting away from this powerlifting stuff. Maybe not once and for all, but for the better. Let's put it that way. But either way, I've always been working on my posing. Right here, I'm getting my shoulder, my elbow back around like it should. Last video I didn't. It's just I also gotta be around more body. I do happen to be around a lot more bodybuilder dudes at Synergy as well too. So that's also what makes bodybuilding here a lot more easier than when I was at Black Belt. That was more of a powerlifting gym as well.
Alrighty, fellas, I just got back. Showered up, got a new little change of clothes. Feeling fresh again, feeling good. But I'm not gonna lie, today's lift, like I said, I just feel like every day we're getting better again. It's like one of those, like, I didn't say it, but not going to Synergy for a little while, I feel like set me back. Like, coming back to it, here we are, and we're on that, uphill and feeling like we're getting bigger and better. I've been on the bulk, but like realistically, I just been kind of like messing around, you know what I mean? So that's another thing though too, like I gotta get back to setting some goals now that I'm back to not traveling, you know what I mean? Like I gotta either get back into this bodybuilding stuff or powerlifting. I'm not gonna lie, especially coming into the spring here, I definitely see the cut coming, so we'll be getting into the bodybuilding again pretty soon. But either way, fellas, I took some time off, not from the gym, but like time off from chasing goal after goal after goal in the gym to now I got to get my goals back. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of losing a sense of feel with the gym when I ain't looking at like the 315 bench press, then the 405 deadlift, then like the 315 plus squat that we never really kind of tackled, I guess. Squatting ain't, we'll work on it. Either way though, and then, the cutting to the bulking, I was always doing something. But, for a little bit of time now, I've been chilling. But I think pretty soon I'm going to be thinking, obviously, especially with the spring, coming up in the next few months, that's going to be a cut. But maybe I'll be coming up with a little idea to come up with something pretty soon, you know what I mean? But either way, fellas, I hope you guys enjoyed today's lift. It was a great one, in fact. But either way, if you made this far, please leave a like, subscribe. I appreciate that. As always, stay hustling, stay grinding, stay focused. Peace out. See you guys in the next one.